going on, everyone? I'm not sure what's going on with spoilers these days, but we got a big old drop today and yesterday, actually. Brand new leader and a bunch of new cards, like 7-8 cards to talk about, I think. But there is a lot of cool stuff. So a big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. Once again, we've been chatting about it in the spoilers chat. It's been an absolute blast. But I'm not going to waste any time today. We're going to dive right into it with some new units for set 6, including a legendary unit to start us off in Kylo Ren's command shuttle. This is a 4-cost space unit in vigilance villainy. It's a 3/5 first order vehicle transport. Each friendly ground unit with sentinel gets +0/+2. So first off, 4-cost space unit, 3/5, not too bad. I mean, it's not like incredible. It's a little bit below average. So I guess you can kind of think of it that way. Like you can have 3 resource 3/4, so a 4 resource 3/5 is kind of like meh. But yeah, not the worst. So okay, flying body. Really, it's can you get value out of the friendly ground unit with sentinel gets +0/+2. Obviously, with the fact that Kylo Ren himself is a sentinel in the new version of Kylo Ren from set 5, we have an amazing synergy. +0/+2 can do some good work, but it's really, I think, power level is going to be based upon whether or not you can have a couple of sentinels that really do jam up the board. A perfect example of this would be like a Chirrut. A Chirrut with an extra 2 points of toughness is obnoxious to get through, like completely obnoxious. Already a 3/5 is obnoxious to get through with a consistent generation of the Force. But think about things like Pike Sentinel. Think of things like, what's the other first order 3-cost? Supremacy Tie. There you go. Things like that are just kind of clogging up the ground, and you put Kylo Ren's command shuttle and it's just more obnoxious to deal with. I think this, maybe has some legs as a sideboard card up against decks that are really doing damage to try to get through your units, and you play a couple of sentinels. But I'm not a huge fan of cards that pump up other cards, so you kind of need multiple cards on board for this thing to do anything, really. Because if you just play this as a 3/5, your opponent's like, sure, why not? I don't really care about that. It's when you have a couple sentinels already where this card potentially can get a little bit more scary. So interesting as a legendary. But on to the next one. We've got Charged with Espionage. This one is a 2-cost event in Cunning. You may disclose Cunning. If you do, look at an opponent's hand and discard a unit from it. Now, I want to mention here, I've talked about disclose a couple of times, like, oh yeah, we have to discard double Cunning. It's important to realize that with these disclose cards, you just discard a total amount of that aspect. So when I say double Cunning, I'm just referring to 2 Cunning aspects, not an actual double Cunning card, for those of you that might be curious about that. So if you have 4 cards in hand, you can disclose a double Cunning card, like Cunning itself as a card, or like the new Zuckuss, that's another double Cunning card. Or you can disclose like 2 Surprise Strikes. Either one works. So this disclose, not super difficult, I'd imagine, especially since it's more of an early game card. It can be a little bit later depending on when you time it, but it is a unit, and I don't think units later on are as relevant than some of the more powerful events. Like usually these cards are really relevant as a sideboard option, mainly because you have decks that are running like Super Laser Blast or Overwhelming Barrage, and they're like huge cards to make sure to get out of their hand. So I'm not as big of a fan of just discarding a unit, but I mean, we've seen these types of things like, Spark of Rebellion. The most recent one, I forgot the name of it, that allows you to discard non-unit. I forgot what it was, but the 2-cost discard card from set 5. You've got things like Jam Communications, a lot of different various ways to target certain cards in opponents' hands. And honestly, especially for heroism, I don't really see this card ever being applicable until Spark Rebellion leaves the format, right? Jam Communications is also, I think, most of the time more relevant, so we will see. Now, Disclose obviously works with Padme, so maybe you'll play this in Padme over Spark Rebellion, but things like that. Next up, we've got Charged with Treason. Oh, also, by the way, love these 2 arts. We've got Rex capturing Slick. We've got the Umbaran arc. With the firing squad about to shoot our boys here. This is just peak peak Star Wars art for me. I'm a huge Clone Wars fan. 4-cost aggression event charged with treason. You may disclose double aggression or aggression. If you do, deal 5 damage to a unit. So basically like a bigger open fire is how I think of this card. Is this good? It can be decent, to be honest. I mean, open fire is already pretty strong, and a lot of decks really do like open fire, but is another cost on an event worth it? I'd say yes, in a lot of situations. Like I could see, for example, Bobo Data Vaults playing this as, you know, just kind of another section of open fire to get you a little bit later on. Or like we've talked about the Kira Red deck, where you have the flip and I forget the card name, but the deal 3 damage to each damaged unit. You've got that type of effect going on. Maybe you can create some sort of Kira aggression controlling style deck. Obviously charged with treason. It's got the disclosed mechanic, so if possible you want to play it in a deck that's going to pay you off for disclosing. That's very clearly something that's going to be really strong. If you're able to play around that whole type of mechanic and just get these cards that are already pretty good in most cases, and then just get that little bit of extra value on top of it. But I mean, this seems totally reasonable. I think a lot of decks could take a lot of use out of this. 4 resources, 5 damage, oftentimes is good enough to kill most of the things what people are playing on the 4 resource turn. Think of like Kanan as an example. Kanan is like the quintessential 4-drop for me. The 4/5 body, well, this is 5 damage, so it can actually cut through that. So it doesn't seem bad to me. I think this is a totally reasonable uncommon. But we've got more to talk about. This one was posted yesterday. We've got Synara San to start us off. Synara San, 7-cost ground unit in Cunning. It's a 7/7 underworld card with hidden, and on attack for each friendly unit, ready a friendly resource. So actually a very interesting kind of mechanic here with Synara San. We've seen this similar to like San Hill, where that one was based on, you know, defeated units. You could ready up a bunch of resource. It's a very, very strong mechanic. Here's the thing with this card. 7 resource, 7/7 is not a bad body at all. Totally reasonable. Hidden is good, actually, especially for these late to deploy leaders or units. Making it so your opponent can't interact with them, at least with their units, is pretty nice. And then the on attack trigger, this is where I'm like, I don't know if this is actually that good. Yes, readying a resource is powerful, period. That is a very powerful mechanic to start off with. But the fact that you need friendly units to make this truly powerful, I mean, yes, getting 1, 2, 3 or so total units on your board isn't too difficult. But that's like 1, 2, or 3 resources. That's it. That can give you a little bit of value, but how realistically are you able to get off multiple attacks? Probably unlikely. And so this is really a case of, when this comes down, can you either finish the game or get one critical turn out of this to where it is allowing you to win the game? And I just don't see that really happening, especially since you don't have like ambush with this. I think this would be really cool if this, instead of hidden, was like a 6/7 or a 5/7 ambusher. So you could play this maybe with 1 or 2 units on the board, and then boom, you get to play another event or something. Although hidden's good, ambush is almost always better. It's gonna be something that I think could be fun to play around with. Maybe you got something, now there are 2 of them shenanigans that you can go with this, because it is an underworld card, which is helping it quite significantly. But I don't see an immediate spot for Synara San. Next up, we've got No One Ever Knew, 2-cost event in Cunning Villainy. For each friendly official unit, exhaust enemy unit. Very straightforward, and to be honest, something that I think is just going to be a weaker No Good to Me Dead, while No Good to Me Dead is in the format. One of the strengths of like No Good to Me Dead is the fact that not only do you get to lock down a unit for that turn, you get to lock down the unit for the next turn as well. Now, this one also has another thing that can be a little bit mediocre about it, and that is the fact that you need multiple official units to actually get value out of this. So you need multiple units on your board to get value. Now, here's the bonus for this. This is where I think if we are in a meta where spy tokens and going wide and something like that is useful, this could be the difference maker in some matchups. So I think this is something that we'll have to pay attention to, mainly because with things like 4 or 5 spy tokens on the battlefield, you could potentially exhaust 4 or 5 units, and that could be a completely one-sided exhaust, in essence, board wipe for that turn, because you are now able to just kind of rush down your opponent with all your units, and they can't interact with you because you've just exhausted their entire board. And we've seen how powerful exhausting entire boards can when Django was in the format. Not that this is anywhere near close to that, but I think there could be some cool things you could do if officials are viable and you can actually get a lot on board. Spy tokens are something that, you know, could potentially do some work, right? Because those are much more easy to acquire in droves because they are a token unit. Next up, we've got Trade Federation Delegates. This is a 5-cost ground unit in Cunning Villainy. It's a 3/4 Republic official, and when played, you create 2 spy tokens. Think of this card, for example, just in comparison to the one we just spoke about. This thing comes down and creates 3 officials. I mean, this is something that I think is really cool about this format or this set. When we had the coordinates in set 3, one of the big things was, hey, we need units like this, or Captain Rex from, you know, set 3, where it comes down, or he comes down as a 4/4 and he creates 2 clone trooper tokens. We need cards that are creating multiple bodies in order for a coordinate and, you know, those types of mechanics to work. But at the same time, we also need payoffs for having that many units. Coordinate does help with that, but also the ability to use them, because the action economy gets really strained when you have cards like Trade Federation Delegates. And this is where I'm kind of curious to see what are the solutions to this in set 6. What are we going to see that's going to allow me to attack with multiple units at a time, or, you know, attack with maybe units in sequential order, but giving me enough value to where that's actually worthwhile? Because, yeah, spy tokens, they hit in for 2. That's not bad, but 2 damage isn't a whole lot. And in some cases, just getting in for your big attack and then claiming initiative can be more valuable. And you're never going to be able to claim initiative if you got 4 or 5 spy tokens you're going to have to attack with. So I really want to see cards like, for example, Mon Mothma that we got to see. Now, if that attack base, spectacular. It doesn't. So you kind of have to get some value there. But cards like that are going to be really helping you getting in multiple attacks across your team in one go around is where I'm waiting to see Trade Federation Delegates. Hopefully cards like this actually get some use out of. Or of course you can go with a Unity of Purpose type of style. Another card we got today here, Elia Kane. We got 4-cost ground unit in Villainy. It's a 3/6 Imperial New Republic. We've got Raid 1, and when played, look at 3 enemy resources. You may defeat one of them. If you do, its controller puts the top card of their deck into play as a resource and readies it. So it doesn't allow you to disrupt their resource economy at all. This is really a anti-plot, anti-smuggle type card. Now we saw this with the 2-drop 2/3 that allows you to get some value going with the earlier smuggle cards. I forgot the name of it, of course, because it hasn't been played in so long. But this is that type of style where you're able to kind of hopefully get lucky, because you have to choose 3 enemy resources. Hopefully you grab the plot card and you get to remove it from their resource pile, right? And that can be pretty strong. I mean, this one is a little bit better for me just because of the body on a 4-drop here is actually pretty relevant. I mean, it attacks for 4, it has 6 toughness. That's not bad at all. Raid 1 can be relevant, has some synergies with some other stuff going on. Looks like Raid is going to be getting a little bit stronger. So all of that's great for Elia. It's, however, a very narrow card. It is specifically designed to mess with plot and mess with smuggle. It's not actually giving you a resource up or anything like that. That is something that could have been absolutely devastating. And it's not even giving them a resource down on that specific turn, I guess you could say. It's readying it up immediately, even if you do hit a plot card. So you can't even disrupt their curve on that note. So something to kind of think about there. That said, we've got one more card to talk about, and that is a brand new leader. And this is Sly Moore. So we have a Cunning Villainy leader, action, pay 1, exhaust. If there are 4 more exhaust units in play, create a spy token. Okay. Get some spy tokens on the board. You get to deploy for 5 as a 3/6. And on attack, you may deal 2 damage to an exhausted unit. Now, it does have the Force, Imperial, and Official tags, so Force and Official both extremely relevant for this set, also because we've had a bunch of Force cards in set 5. But, I mean, honestly, this action on the front side is kind of laughable to me. 4 or more exhausted units. I mean, I know we're going into a set where we're gonna be able to create a lot of units. When have you ever seen 4 units on the board and you're not just immediately doomed? Like, and again, the payoff of this is, yeah, I get to create 1 spy token when my opponent is absolutely flooding the board. Like, I just don't see where we're getting a whole lot of value from this. I'm not a big fan of this front side action whatsoever. So really, she's gonna have to make up for it in the flip side. And does she? A 3/6, we've seen it. It's bad. It's not a good body at all. It is almost unplayable. You have to have a really good leader ability. Take Han 2 as an example. However, this one does have a reasonable leader ability, right? Deal 2 damage to an exhausted unit. This is obviously intended to work with the cards like we saw earlier, with exhausting every unit based on the officials you have. That type of effect obviously is trying to synergize with Sly Moore, where you're able to exhaust units and then get some free damage on them. Is this really all that good? I mean, 2 damage to an enemy unit is good. We've seen that with like set 1 Vader, right? That can take over a game, but I don't really see this doing all that much, mainly because it's a 3/6. Like, yes, you get the 2 damage. You might get 1 attack in with it. There are so many things that can kill a 3/6 at this stage. Plo Koon one-shots it, just straight up. I mean, things like that are in the game. Or take like an Anakin powered up, you know, a Ki-Adi-Mundi. Suddenly your Sly Moore dies and your Ki-Adi-Mundi lives. Like, cards like that just seem really, really tough for a unit of this caliber to do so much work. Now, does this mean that it's unplayable? Not necessarily. I mean, I think there could be some really powerful exhaust options that make Sly Moore something that's potentially really cool. I mean, things like the, what is it, Vambrace Grapple Shot? Is that the card I'm thinking of? I have to harken back to my draft games with all these different sets, but I believe that's the unit that's like, when you attack a unit, you get to exhaust the defender. I don't know, something like that maybe you could do some work with. Or cards like No Good to Me Dead are obviously really good in Sly Moore. The card we saw earlier that exhausts based on officials could be getting you some value, right? I mean, things like that. Maybe we have some legs for Sly Moore. I'll say this is one of those leaders where not going to give a final judgment on, but definitely needs some help. And again, maybe this is something that, you know, the official deck that you're trying to run, Sly Moore is going to be a perfect option for it. Yes, I know the front side action is going to be really, really tough to get going, especially in the earlier stages of the game, but maybe on like turn 4 or 5, your opponent's got like 7 or 4, 5, 7, 6, I don't know, whatever amount of spy tokens, and oh yeah, 4 exhaust units, easy, create a spy token. Even though that is possible, I still don't think that 1 resource is like well spent. You know, I mean, it's like, I'd rather just play a big unit. Anyways, let me know what you think about these cards in the comment section down below. We got a lot of them, like I said. Honestly, I think the one that's most exciting for me might just be the Trade Federation delegates, or Elia Kane, and not because they're like particularly powerful or anything like that. A lot of these do seem like a little bit more focused towards Twin Suns. Like, it seems more fun gameplay, but Elia Kane seems like a potential sideboard card, and Trade Federation delegates, that type of card I'm just hoping is good in this set. Like, that's a game plan that I can get behind. Going wide, attacking with a bunch of units, like, it's just a fun style, and most people would consider it to be completely a fair style is what you would call it, because hey, I played a bunch of units and I attacked you with them. Like, I'm not doing anything crazy, I'm just getting in some damage, I'm playing units, etc., and that's always a good time, right? Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for the next one.